Hello and welcome to another edition of Charlesgate TV. I'm Michael DeMella here with PT Feinberg once again. What's going on, PT?
Not much, Mike. What's happening?
That's all you have to say.
You know, start slow, ease into the day. It's kind of a summer dog day out there, you know.
Fair enough.
It's hot.
It is hot. I know it's hot yesterday, hot today. He's always complaining though. You know, you can never just have it perfect, I guess.
80 degrees with no humidity would be perfect.
Except this is Boston. It's not
Well,
gonna
it's 90 degrees with like 90% humidity, so
yeah,
it's a little imperfect. I'm dealing with it. I'm fine. Having a great day.
Good, good. All right. So what do you want to talk about?
A couple things that I found kind of interesting, looking at various websites, publications over the past week. But Boston actually, there was an article that we have the highest percentage of 20 to 34-year-olds of any of the 25 major cities in the country. So I think it was over 30%.
35%.
Yeah, 35%.
35% of Boston's population is made up of people 20 to 34 years old, which is the highest in the country. We took over from Austin, I believe, was the Austin, Texas, and DC I think is third. So it gives you an idea. Yeah.
So you know, I think obviously as that pertains to real estate and you know what we like to talk about, that's a very indicative and obviously the driving factor as to why. You know, some of the things that we've discussed over the past few weeks with the tightness in the rental market and, you know, the kind of first-time buyer demographic and whatnot. I think that obviously that's the proof is in the pudding, as they say right there. That's a lot of people fitting that demographic and obviously not a lot of opportunity for new housing stock to come on and. That's kind of a pretty good segue, I think, into some of the other things we want to talk about. But
well, I mean, even to stick with that for a second, I mean, and I think it is indicative. Obviously, a lot of well, first off, obviously, the people towards the younger end of that demographic, a lot of them are college students. So, colleges are for the most part getting bigger. Northeastern and BU are expanding their footprint as well as some of the other schools. So,
oh really? Is there another school?
Okay. I hate to mention Boston College, but if I do have to, BC as well is expanding their footprint.
Okay.
So a lot of the schools are doing that, and also they're doing a little bit better, I think, of counting their population, which has led to that 11% increase in 20 to 34-year-olds in Boston. But besides that fact, I think overall Boston's population has also expanded from 2000 to 2010, the most recent census.
5%.
Something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the exact number, but yeah. So Boston's population, I think, it's for the first time since 1970, the population is over 600,000. Or it might have been 700,000, I forget exactly. But it's interesting to see that both the younger demographic and overall population is expanding. Well, what you just mentioned was that there hasn't been much new housing stock, whether it's rentals or condominiums, with a few exceptions on the real high-end luxury stuff like 45 Province or the Clarendon. It's really been the only real projects to expand the housing stock. And I'm not talking about redevelopment stuff. I'm talking about brand new adding housing.
Even on the rental side, it's been Park Lane, the Archstones. I mean, you've got
but even those are now
stuff.
But never mind just high end. But even those are now 4, 5, 6 years old.
Yeah,
so they're not even really brand new for housing stock in the past couple of years. Obviously, the recession and the difficulty getting finances has killed a lot of those, or slowed down a lot of those projects. But that's why you do see the tightness in the market on the rental side and the sales side with limited inventory, which has kept prices stable. But it also sort of becomes a problem after a while when there's just no housing for people. There's only so much a city can expand. It's almost bursting at the seams with people and lack of housing, and it starts to put too much pressure on prices once the economy starts to recover, really, and people, more jobs come in and more companies start to grow in Boston. It could become an issue. I mean, I suppose it's a good problem for people who own homes, or you put some upward pressure on prices, but still. I think in the long term it leads to problems for a city with lack of affordable options in housing.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree with that. Sure.
Glad you agree. That's really awesome.
It's once in a blue moon happens.
That's beautiful insight. But anyway, so speaking of some of those stalled projects, I know there was a couple of things that you had in mind for chatting about.
Yeah, there was kind of an interesting juxtaposition of articles that I saw on Boston.com, and we'll put the links to both, but one focused on stalled construction projects and another focused on ones that are, seem to be moving forward and getting off the ground. And I think there was actually one that was in both articles. Found that kind of interesting, but I think the big point is obviously, as you just referenced, the financing of these projects. How's it going to happen? And then also the impact that projects like these have on our neighborhoods. And you know, someone who's lived in the Fenway Kenmore area for, you know, since '03, so, you know, 8 years, 8.5 years, just the transformation that you've seen there on various levels, but you know, just a quality of life, I guess, would be the biggest. It has been remarkable, and you know, it all kind of starts with a project and another project and another project, and you know, if you use that example, you had, you know, the Hotel Commonwealth went in back in, you know, '02, '03. Then you had, you know, Trilogy and 1330 Boylston and kind of the revamping of the Landmark Center, and all of a sudden you've got, you know, major, you know, restaurants and retail, and you know, there's been a lot going on there. And now that one of the proposed projects that seems to be moving forward is another project on Upper Boylston Street. That'll be, you know, 300 plus units, you know, I think 5 restaurant spaces. So, you know, that trend kind of seems to be continuing in the Fenway, and then...
Yeah, the Fenway's a super exciting area, I think, you know.
If
I mean, a lot of it is, you know, a big portion right now is rental housing, but I think it's a prime condo area. It could be a prime condo area as well moving forward if some of these projects turn into condominiums.
Yeah.
You know, the restaurants are pretty cool. There's you know, a lot of great things going on there.
They could revamp that Shaw's, but
upgrade of the Shaw's would be a very nice thing for the neighborhood, to put that delicately.
Yes.
And that would be a wonderful thing, perhaps, just to maybe have a cleaning once in a while would be good.
Yeah, or anything resembling fresh produce of any kind.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So besides that, there's a lot of good things going on in the neighborhood, though.
There is.
I'm sorry to interrupt that. You were saying something.
No. I was obviously, I think the next big area where you're starting to see this, and it's going to be on an accelerated level, is down the Seaport, and you know, obviously with Van Pier and Seaport Square, but just, you know, in the past really 18 months, you know, kind of started with. Well, LTK is a little older than that, and that was kind of the pioneer down there as far as restaurant. But then all of a sudden you had Atlantic Beer Garden and the other place that's attached to it, Whiskey Priest, I think it is, and people started going out there. And now you've got that Del Frisco, seems to be one of the hottest restaurants in the city, and
all the new ones on Liberty Wharf there, the Del Frisco's, Tezmacel, or however you pronounce it,
and Jerry
Remy's, and the new legal over there as well.
Yeah,
it's interesting how sometimes restaurants can start a resurgence and really just kind of push things forward. The same thing in the South End, you know, 20 years ago. Which really created or really, you know, bolstered that resurgence along Tremont Street there, and some other parts, and even deeper into the South End now, over by Harrison and other things. Sort of restaurants tend to be the, in many ways, the forebears.
People like tea. People like tea.
People like tea. That's right, including me and obviously you.
Yeah.
So, but no, so I think that's definitely a good sign. Seaport is really exciting right now. I think finally things are starting to, a lot of developers are really, I think, getting excited as well. It's starting to really talk about doing projects and getting them off the ground finally over the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Which is definitely exciting. So I think those two areas have a lot of room to grow. I think developers have to deliver the right products, though.
Of course. Yeah.
You know, there's some you know, segments of the market that are kind of saturated, aka the luxury sort of condo market. But that's part of the problem, again, with development costs in Boston so high. That's pretty much all you can deliver, because you can't do anything else. You won't make any money, and it's impossible to do a project.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there has to be incentives to doing a project, and unfortunately the way it works with the development process in Boston, it can be pretty onerous for a developer to get through that. It takes years and tons of money before you can even, you know, start building.
Yeah.
So it's tough, and hopefully, you know, I think that's one of the big issues facing the city moving forward. We talk about the demographic stuff and the different neighborhoods growing, is just streamlining that development process to some degree to make things a bit easier and more cost effective to deliver, you know, different segments of housing, whether it's a different price ranges, not just, you know, high-end super luxury stuff.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I guess to kind of the opposite of what's going on in the Seaport right now, in the article on the stalled developments, there's actually 3 or 4 real big ones in East Boston.
Yep.
And you know, I just, given the economy and the, you know, kind of housing market right now, and you know, as exciting as the Seaport is, I think that those projects are probably a long way off in East Boston right now.
They probably are, and that's kind of sad because it's really some beautiful waterfront over there, and it's convenient water taxi wise. I mean, there's always the stigma of the airport obviously being right there and avoiding that, but the construction methods they have and ways of blocking out some of the sound and obviously the routes that the airplanes take over the area help mitigate a lot of that concern. There are some nice buildings over there, and this 3 or 4 projects that have been on the drawing boards for a while now that could be really very, very cool waterfront projects in East Boston. If they can get the financing, and again, it costs so much to build them, and there's only so large of a price that developers could get over there that it's tough to make those projects work economically. But there are some cool things. That's another potentially resurging neighborhood. I think you're right. It's probably a little bit longer off than Seaport or Fenway type of area. So. But definitely a lot of cool things going on in a lot of neighborhoods. Obviously we always have the Back Bay, South End, Beacon Hill, downtown type of core that's been stable, and you have some new redevelopment stuff, but there's just really no land for brand new construction or adding housing stock. But those other expanding areas, Seaport's going to be just a phenomenal neighborhood. Sooner rather than later, finally. But 10 years off, it's going to be just an incredible neighborhood, I think. And that's really in Fenway. Same thing with Fenway. And if you look, you can even talk about Back Bay South End too. You look at the Columbus Center, which is on a sort of stalled or non-existent project right now.
It was in there.
That could be a really great project, over the Pike, and really tying those two neighborhoods together, sort of like how Copley Place did to some degree over the Pike years ago. So hopefully stuff like that will come to fruition at some point in the next 10 years or so, and really making the city even more vibrant, growing the population a little bit more, keeping more younger people, giving them options to live, and hopefully sort of increasing, obviously it's trying to make the city better as best as possible, but I think, if you look at the population of young people, that's a really good sign moving forward, whether it's talking about entrepreneurship, you're talking about different sort of businesses starting here and different sort of job growth for everyone moving forward. That's an exciting thing to do. Hopefully the city find and be able to live here as well. So I think there's a lot going for it in the city. So anyway, that's our, I suppose, pitch on come to Boston, live in Boston type of thing. If you don't live here already, if you do, you're lucky.
I like it here.
I think I like it here as well. So it's good. I suppose we both have our preferences on favorite neighborhoods, but maybe we'll throw a poll up there and ask everyone what their favorite neighborhood is, if we can do that. And if you want to vote on that after watching the video, that'd be great. We'll put a link on that as well and see if we can gauge what you guys have to say. But I don't know, anything else, PT?
No, I think that's a wrap.
A wrap, alright, wow, just like that, it's a wrap?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of sick of you.
Oh wow, geez, already? It was only like 10 minutes.
No, I think it was like, I bet you we're 13.
13, okay, on the dot, we'll see. Anyway, thanks for joining us today for Charlesgate TV. Hope you tune in next time, and don't forget about that poll, which we'll link to below. We'll also link to a couple of the articles we talked about. But otherwise, we will see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you.